The mayor would say, if you want tax breaks, you need to go look at this space in Brooklyn. And like Sumitomo Bank would come over the Brooklyn Bridge in a bulletproof limousine. They would get out of the car. They'd meet with me. They'd get back in the car. They'd go back over the bridge. We'd never see them again.
It's a pleasure to know that both sides of your, I guess both sides, which is personal and professional life, they now blend. They now blend and they kind of coincide with each other. Because you didn't spend a lot of time with your children, I'm assuming.
Well, I can tell you that I probably was the early adopter of you're not at work, you're on work. And so I used to say that. I was happy to work at 11 o'clock at night, and as long as I could have dinner with my kids and put them to sleep. I made a very significant shift when my children were, 2 of them in high school and 1 in elementary school. I decided to move everybody to Brooklyn from Edgemont, New York.
Where do you live now?
And I live in Park Slope, but I moved my entire family to the belly of the beast in the battle for Barclays. While I was ascending to be CEO, while the project was kicking off, I moved right in the hotbed of the opposition. So much so that when I bought a brownstone and woke up the morning of my children's first day of school and I pulled the blinds for my daughter to look out and see our tree of life in the back of our brownstone, there was a giant sign hung on the multifamily building behind my home that said, "Fuck you, MaryAnne." And so this is the sort of battle that we were in to build that project and what it was like. And so my children...
People disagree with you.
It was a controversial project because it was condemnation, eminent domain. It was big, as the great
power of the government.
Mayor Bloomberg would say, to do anything great in the city, Central Park, you need the power of government to assemble, right? But I brought my family into my work in a way that I don't even know that I appreciated what I was doing when I brought them to Park Slope. And so my children really did know a lot about my work because they were in a very small community in Park Slope where it was friend or foe, supporter or opponent of Barclays.
Had that. They had a little bit of that volatility as well.
Yeah. They also were ball boys for the Nets. They had other things that brought them into the fold in ways that were wondrous and probably near impossible for anybody that didn't
They're probably proud every time they
they're very proud. They're very proud.
This is my mom's. This is my mom's. This is my mom's, right?
My young men, the boys that I've raised, have very positive views about women in the world and in civic life and in professional life. And my daughter is part sumo wrestler and part princess. She's got a great combination of grit as well.
Is she really a sumo wrestler?
No, she is in a kind of a metaphorical sense. I'd say like when...
She's a big personality?
Fierce in a way that, you probably, I don't know your background, but I'd say that when you come from what I come from, I spent a lot of my time trying to make sure that my children didn't have economic insecurity, didn't have the kind of volatility that I grew up with. And then you have to worry, are they going to have resilience? Are they going to have grit?
Yes, because that doesn't come without a price.
And what about entitlement, which is a huge bugaboo for me? Entitlement is where...
Can't stand that shit.
Zero tolerance for it. So when you change your circumstances and then provide a life for your family that might be dramatically different than where you come from, you confront this idea that, will they really have grit? Will they understand what it means to be fierce and to be so determined to live your best life?
Well, I want to go to 2 things, okay, which is very, very important. Money, okay, and the other part is, did any parts of your personal life, other than not seeing your children as much as you could have, suffer? So let's talk about money for a second, okay? Did money surround you, and were you successful when it came to money, or did you have to run on empty effectively? Kind of you're going to this New York Times building, but not $1 in your name or $1 in your pocket. Like typically, I mean, I believe in God. I don't know if you believe in God or Winnie the Pooh or a big energy around this, but whatever it is that you believe in, you could feel free to say it or not. God doesn't really give you everything right away, and what he does, he kind of challenges you for it, and he adjusts you accordingly depending on your resilience and your confidence. So I want to talk about money and where was that, and was there comfort there, right? Was there comfort there? Did you get that money? Were you making a lot of money? What was the relationship with money and these big projects? Tell me about that.
So in my childhood, my stepfather got paid once a month. And so in the beginning of the month, we had lunch money. At the end of the month, we didn't. So I have a saying, it was like, I need to know where my lunch money is. If you don't know where your lunch money is, it's destabilizing. So I live my life making sure I know where my lunch money is. And so I'd say that developers don't always like to share. I think I worked in economic development on the public side for Mayor Koch, and I learned the ropes through the public side. And I had student loans, and I had debt, and I was living in the Bronx on Davidson Avenue. I was stepping over crack addicts to get to my apartment. Like I was
I'm glad
hardcore.
you were upfront about that.
Yeah. No, the city was a different place. When I started to earn money, it was more than I ever could have imagined, but it probably wasn't enough to keep up with my hopes, my ambition, and my desire to raise a family in New York City.
So your future lifestyle was a lot greater than what you had, what you had envisioned it to be. So it was not enough, or was not there for you to.
I don't think I worried so much. I figured it would sort itself out. I do not live beyond my means. Okay, right. Because that's the Queens girl in me. Like I'm not going to get overextended, right? Right. But like moving to Westchester, I moved to White Plains to raise my children with grass beneath their toes in a way that I felt like I couldn't do in the city. I only came back to the city when I had the means to raise 3 kids in private school in Brooklyn, right? So that was later on in my professional development. So I'd say like every bit of my financial success was hard fought. I married for love, not for money. I was the breadwinner. I'm divorced. Okay. I married in a way that I didn't worry about money. I didn't like seek someone out because they would provide me with financial stability.
Of course. We talked about that with the mom, right?
Yeah.
Don't expect certain things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or the dad.
So I'd say now, teaching economic responsibility to my children is really important. I think starting a company, having the audacity to be a woman and go out and found a ground-up development company in a city that's dominated by family dynasties, when the only women you'll see as developers are usually heirs of families in New York that are developers. So
let's talk. You segued me right into where I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about the Big Apple.
Yeah.
So the Big Apple definitely, was something, and then I want to talk about being a woman, okay? But I want to talk about the city and then talk about the woman part. So the city, matriarch, patriarch, however you want to point it, it's a big boulder in your life, in anybody's life that's living in the city. We're talking about Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens,
the Bronx,
even Staten Island, and it really cuts at you. It'll fucking cut you. Mm-hmm. Cut at you, and it'll keep coming at you, and keep coming at you, and keep coming at you. So what is your relationship with the city and the energy of the city? How did you pull that together? And you know what I'm talking about. How did you control the lightning and the thunder of the city and the people in it to get where you need to get to, and how you did that? Because you probably had to ally yourself with people. It's maybe even step on people. We don't know. I don't know what the treacherous waters look like for you, right? So tell me about that.
The power of conviction is huge for me. So when I believe my own bullshit, it's very powerful. So I always took my job very seriously. And if I had a job to do and somebody had my back, then I did my job. And I will tell you that is, if there is a magic elixir, it's like not focused on the corner office, not focused on dancing on people's graves. If you do what you're supposed to be doing and you do it well, and you're in the right environment. I really was in a meritocracy. Bruce Ratner believed
was not in a meritocracy.
I was. It was the best man or woman for the job. Now, I was the only woman very often, but I will tell you that I was judged on my performance. You eat what you kill. And the fact is, I knew how to source business. I knew how to do my job well. I knew how to build teams. I knew how to get shit done. And I would say that if I was in an environment where that didn't matter because I wasn't playing golf on Saturday with my boss, I would have been no good.
So the city gave you opportunity. It wielded opportunity.
The city was a playground of opportunity in my business through Koch, through Dinkins on some level, and then obviously through the Bloomberg administration. There was so much opportunity. I found a place where the place I was going to allow me to bring ideas forward. As long as you could defend them, you could bring anything to Bruce Ratner and he would entertain it. You had to be fierce.
So he was your ally.
He was my mentor. You talked about mentors. Bruce Ratner was the great visionary. He believed in doing the impossible, actually, and didn't believe in excuses. And I wasn't a woman as it relates to Bruce Ratner.
I appreciate that.
I was a franchise player. I was a thoroughbred. I was an asset that he was going to empower to do the job. Unclenched by the,
I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm a woman.
Now, I never got the memo that says you're a woman, you should feel really intimidated being in this meeting. I believed if I had a chair at the table, then I was supposed to be there. And again, because he had my back.
There was an expectation. That you're there.
I was there to do a job. And I think I had this silo ability, like this ability to be myopic about my job, and whether people were talking about me as a woman or a lightweight, I loved being underestimated. It's an amazing.
It was a superpower.
Yeah, to be underestimated is incredible.
So this because they don't see you coming. Mm-mm. So the city in one portion of the time was your ally, and it was your ally because there was a lot of opportunity there.
Remember that I did economic development, so I started on the public side. I knew the ropes. I knew the kind of land, opportunity, and entitlement that the city could bring to a developer. And so I learned it on the inside. That gave me incredible chops when I moved to the private side.
Aptitude, yeah. Aptitude, right. So
think big, because I didn't want to build buildings, little infill lots in the far reaches of Brooklyn.
So you had a lot of ambition.
I wanted to do large-scale public-private partnerships, and because that's where I started. Right.
Your education, quickly, where's that from?
I was on my way to law school. I won a fellowship to go into government. Pick your agency. I was on my way to law school to fight for the rights of juveniles in the justice system, and the advice the fellowship, Urban Fellows, said: pick something outside your 9 dots. Don't go where you're headed. Pick a different. It's a fellowship. It's 9 months.
Right.
So all the commissioners interviewed you. It was after the fiscal crisis. Nobody had any ability to hire any talent. Urban Fellows were supposed to be very talented. So I interviewed the police commissioner, Ben Ward. I was in every commissioner's office. I rolled into economic development. I'll be honest. They had air conditioning. They had carpet. Yeah. They had a board of directors. And by golly, they had a president, not a commissioner. I was like, this is so grown up. And I said, I'm going to hang out here for the summer. It's really freaking hot in the city. And I realized then that I had real estate in my veins because they threw me on these projects. And I was looking at College Point, Queens. I was removing a squatter from the toe pounding Queens.
So you did everything.
Oh my God. It was like, let's get the girl down the hall. She'll figure it out. And then I realized it was, you said it, human relations. Think about it. Like, where does psychology, the intersection of psychology and business, you know it because it's your training. So I thought to myself, if I just have to figure out how to solve these problems, and this is what real estate development is, sign me up. It's so fun. So I learned it. I met every developer in New York City because we were generating taxes, giving away incentives, and we were keeping companies in New York City when they were all fleeing to New Jersey or Plano, Texas. So I was the corporate retention go-to person. I was structuring those tax deals. I was trying to keep companies in the city. I moved Bear Stearns to Brooklyn. Chemical Bank moved to Brooklyn. Morgan Stanley moved to Brooklyn. That was my job. So I was in a situation where the mayor would say, if you want tax breaks, you need to go look at this space in Brooklyn. And like Sumitomo Bank would come over the Brooklyn Bridge in a bulletproof limousine. They would get out of the car. They'd meet with me. They'd get back in the car. They'd go back over the bridge. We'd never see them again.
So you thought it was fun.
Oh my God, we had to fight harder and work more to win people over in this vision of like Brooklyn, not as a residential place, which it is now. People think, oh, it's so organic that Brooklyn became the hottest place to live. No, I was in Brooklyn in the days when
it was shitty.
It was shitty, and you
Crown
were
Heights
hawking space for
yeah.
$30 a square foot as a low-cost alternative to the very, very expensive real estate in Manhattan.
The city was an ally, and it was an ally in terms of the people that were present in your life, the opportunity presented to you, and how you wielded that power. You know, held the thunder and shot the lightning, and I think there's a lot. I mean, now I've been sitting with you for about 45 minutes. Education is a strong part of what to be successful. I think in real estate, in general, you have to have the education, you have to have the experience, and to do it on such a large scale. But most importantly, in the beginning, you have to have a belief, right? The audacious belief that you can be successful. Because let's face it, a lot of people in education turn out to be paper pushers, right? Yeah. They turn out to be project managers. They're not going to be CEO material. And I think sitting here with you today, well, actually not I think, I know, that what you've exercised in your mind on a daily basis is, I think you said, If I fail, I can handle it. If I succeed, I exceed all options of everything I could have ever been. And success is thereafter born. I think success is a mindset. I wanted your opinion on it. Is success a mindset or is it a material thing? Because you kept saying, I have something to show for it, I have something to show for it. I think you're forgetting. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're just not paying attention. Or maybe you are. That you embody the definition of success in the resilient nature and the way you traverse that terrain. But I wanted to hear your thoughts.
I'm a dragon slayer. That's what I am. I slay dragons. And I think I've been successful, but I probably don't spend a lot of time thinking about my success. I probably think about what's next.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, it's good to take an inventory. I feel enormous gratitude and I feel lucky because timing is not unimportant here, and luck has something to do with it. And you might say luck comes to people who are predisposed to success, and we can talk about that, right? Chance favors the prepared mind. I was in the right place at the right time. So often I was in the right place at the right time. And the other thing I didn't do, I didn't try to be a man in a skirt. I didn't try to conform. I wasn't ever going to play, golf on Saturdays. I wasn't going to hobnob. I'm not a hobnobber. I'm actually an introvert. I wasn't going to do it the way I saw it happening around me. I was going to do it my way.